This event has been 50 years in the making. Actually, we call it our 50th anniversary, but did you know it's our 60th birthday? The organization actually began in 1951 when they established the organization and appointed the first board of trustees. But it took 10 years to raise $10,000 to build the first home. Anybody that's ever started a nonprofit knows that those first years are the hardest years, because how are you going to get people to invest in something that isn't real? Hasn't started. It's just promises at that point. But through the tenacity, the commitment, the dedication of those founding trustees, they didn't give up. And the dream became a reality. And in 1961, first young men stepped foot on this campus, and we've been caring for boys and girls ever since. We've cared for over 1,000 in those 50 years. So it's an anniversary of celebrating hope. Hope for families, hope for children, hope for teenagers.
Color guard, halt. Court, home. Post, colors. Place, colors. Present, home.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Court, home. Right shoulder, home. Assemble, march. Forward, march.
There have been many organizations over the years that have sustained Patrick Henry, and the American Legion is at the top of that list. And we've probably got folks from many of the posts all across Virginia here today, and I thank you for that. And so at this time, I'd like to introduce the Honorable Phyllis Campbell, Mayor of the town of Brookneal, who has a proclamation that she will present. And by the way, Mayor, downtown Brookneal is looking marvelous. It's really looking good. Thank you so much. Let's give the Mayor a hand.
Big projects we did. We enjoyed our relationship. He loves the kids. So keep us in your prayers, and he would have loved to have been here. Thank you. Okay. Resolutions of congratulations. Patrick Henry Boys and Girls Plantation in recognition of their 50th anniversary. Whereas we proclaim the 17th day of September 2011 Patrick Henry Boys and Girls Plantation Day in recognition of the 50th anniversary. And whereas the Patrick Henry Boys and Girls Plantation has achieved the milestone of 50 years of continuous, loving, faithful service. Whereas this achievement has been reached by the collective efforts of many individuals, entities, passionate about bringing hope and healing to the young people and the families in need. And whereas the accomplishment reflects the ability of the Patrick Henry Boys and Girls Plantation to successfully fulfill an important life-changing ministry. And whereas the Patrick Henry Boys and Girls Plantation has and will continue to have an important role in shaping the lives of young people through the love and delivery of service aimed at the physical, mental, social, and spiritual development. And whereas on numerous occasions during the past 50 years, the leadership, staff, and residents at Patrick Henry Boys Girls Plantation have been an active part of the local communities through service projects aimed at improving the quality of life. Now, therefore, it be it resolved that the Brookneal Town Council does hereby extend its sincere congratulations to the Patrick Henry Boys and Girls Plantation for 50 years of valuable service to distressed children and families. Be it also resolved that the Brookneal Town Council is extremely proud of the work conducted by the Patrick Henry Boys and Girls Plantation and recognizes the positive impact the organization has had and continues to have on families in our community throughout this great country. Congratulations on a job well done.
I'd like to introduce Honorable Kathy J. Byron, who will come for a resolution.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
What an exciting day. I'm so excited to be with you today. It's with a sense of pride and thankfulness for all that you have done for so many people. And I know your time is short, so my job here is just to present a resolution. This resolution was introduced in the General Assembly session of 2011. There were 100 delegates and 40 senators that voted unanimously on the passage of it. And I was going to read it to you, but I am just going to, instead, if it's okay with everyone, present it to Mr. Day, because I have a proclamation from the governor and he trumped my resolution. So I would like to present this resolution on behalf of the Commonwealth of Virginia General Assembly, and congratulations on your 50th anniversary. The governor sends his regrets. So you may not have noticed, but we've had a lot going on in the state lately. Between earthquakes, hurricanes, and other activities, it's kept the state officials pretty busy. This is a certificate of recognition by virtue of the authority vested by the Constitution and the Governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia. I'm going to get my glasses. This print's a little for my eyes. There is hereby officially recognized the 50th anniversary of the Patrick Henry Boys and Girls Plantation. Whereas Patrick Henry, one of Virginia's greatest sons and America's most revered patriots, helped inspire his fellow colonists to pursue a form of happiness that only freedom and liberty can provide, and it was in his honor that the early members of the Patrick Henry Memorial Foundation founded Patrick Henry Boys and Girls Plantation on Patrick Henry's original Red Hill plantation in 1961, and whereas initially only able to provide care for 6 children, Patrick Henry Boys and Girls Plantation has steadily increased its capabilities and services over the course of the past 5 decades, expanding the housing space on the plantation grounds, as well as opening facilities throughout Virginia, which today, Patrick Henry Boys and Girls homes can be found in Brookneal, Rustburg, Cluster Springs, Bedford, Wileysburg, and a future site in Farmville. And whereas in addition to providing care for young people, Patrick Henry Boys and Girls Plantation offers counseling services through its Hope for Tomorrow ministry, a Christian nonprofit organization which seeks to encourage and assist disadvantaged families and individuals. And it is important to recognize that the faith-based services provided by the ministry have helped many Virginians overcome past hardships and move forward in a positive direction. And whereas for over 50 years, Patrick Henry Boys and Girls Plantation has greatly contributed to improving the stability and well-being of communities across our Commonwealth by helping to empower and improve the lives of countless young people, individuals and families, and there is no doubt that Patrick Henry, a loving family man and father of many children and grandchildren, would be honored by the organization's efforts in keeping families together and children safe and successful. Now therefore I, Robert F. McDonald, do hereby recognize that 2011 marks the 50th anniversary of Patrick Henry Boys and Girls Plantation in our Commonwealth of Virginia, and I call this observance to the attention of all our citizens, and in testimony whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the lesser seal of the Commonwealth of Virginia this 15th day of September 2011. Robert F. McDonald, Governor of Virginia.
I have a little something to our program today. Shirley Mormon, who is chairman of the committee that organized the celebration today, and I was talking last week, had agreed that we could not have this event without mentioning the name of one lady that stands out among those that we were talking about a little earlier, those early pioneers. It was in 1952 that what is now the Alice Kyle District was meeting in Charlotte Courthouse, and they formed a committee to start raising funds to build the first building that ended up being built here. They selected as their chairman Mrs. William Page Williams of Brookneal. They lit a candle then that has carried forth and been a part. The women's clubs have been a part of this organization in a very substantial way through the years. But one of those ladies has stood out that we can't pass up without recognizing today. She lit a candle and carried a candle of great commitment and determination. Though that candle sputtered sometimes through the ways, it never rested until the mission was accomplished. You would have to know Lucy Williams to understand her commitment. She had a real gentle way of saying, now I know you want to do this. She had a passion and a sacrificial devotion to the plantation. And many candles have been lit from her candle through the years, including Shirley Mormon. To give you a little bit of a flavor for Lucy Williams, in her latter days, she was confined to a nursing home in Lynchburg. And during that time, she fashioned and made what we call armchair salads to hold your reading material in your glasses. And she made those to sell to the guests who came to visit her to raise money for the plantation. She went to be with the Lord at the age of 100. And I can tell you, if there's a window in heaven, she's looking down today rejoicing. And I can hear her gently say, that candle has turned into a torch, and I'm passing it on to you to carry it for the next 50 years. I'm here today to introduce a very dear friend. It's an honor and privilege to introduce Jonathan Falwell. The relationship between the plantation and the Falwell family began back in the 60s, and Jonathan and I was talking at the way to the airport a few minutes ago. Can't remember exactly what year it was here, but it was some kind of celebration in the 60s. And from that time forward, there has been that relationship with Common Grove Baptist Church at Liberty University that has been so meaningful and supportive. When the girls' home was commissioned and dedicated in 1978, the following year in 79, Dr. Hal Ford started a tradition that has been carried forth through the years. They wanted to take all of the children, all of the staff, out to dinner in the fall to celebrate that year. And a part of that was to go to Thomas Road Baptist Church for Sunday school and morning worship service, and invite the Fallsville family to join for that lunch. They have fulfilled that commitment and been with us for 31 consecutive years without missing a single year. And it's just amazing the way that they have reached out and been supportive of our children. The Thomas Road Baptist Church and the Liberty University door has been open for our children throughout these years. At the untimely death of Jonathan's father, Jonathan became senior pastor of Thomas Road Baptist Church, and under the umbrella of the church there's hundreds of missions and missionary programs that reach around and are dotted all over the world. In addition, Jonathan serves as Vice Chancellor of the Spiritual Affairs at Liberty University. He oversees the School of Religion and Liberty Baptist Theology Seminary. And Jonathan is also a member of the Board of Trustees of Liberty University. And he fulfills speaking engagement. He's a noted photographer, writer, and I hope all of you have read his book. Jonathan earned his bachelor's degree in political science at Liberty University, Master of Arts in Religion at Liberty Baptist Theological Seminary, and his Juris Doctorate degree at Taft University in Santa Ana, California. The Lord prepared Jonathan for that fateful day. He ministered for about 12 years at the Elbow as associate pastor to his father. He was reared in a home that had the love of Jerry and Mason Falwell that nurtured him through those years. And I know that Jonathan loves the Lord. Forgive me.
Well, thank you. It is an honor to be able to be here with you today. He mentioned my children, Natalie Nicholas, and my daughter Jessica, and my oldest son, Jonathan Jr. And that is a perfect opportunity for me to ask each and every one of you for your continued prayers for my family, because my son got his learner's permit this week. And so this week I have, as a pastor, my job is to lead people and help people in their spiritual walk. I can guarantee you my spiritual walk has gotten stronger this week in ways that I could never imagine. My son got his permit on Thursday, and on Friday had his first accident. And he ran into, oddly enough, the back of a driver's education car. And so those are wonderful stories that I will certainly be sharing often and widespread, because those are things we don't want to forget. Bob shared about the Falwell family and our commitment to and our relationship with this incredible ministry. It's one that really is, as you, Bob, were talking about the alumni of this organization. I feel like an alumni. I feel like I'm an alumni of this organization because, as you shared, 31 years we have been a part of what is happening here at the Patrick Henry Plantation, and those meals that we always have together. I remember as a young child starting to come to those meals. And let me tell you, I've been through a lot of fried chicken with the Patrick Henry homes. And we continue that. We will do that again, I think, in November, I believe. We'll be doing that again this fall. And what an incredible, wonderful opportunity it is for me to be able to be with you here today. I'm so excited about this. In fact, we talked about this, I believe it was last November when you were at Thomas Road on that Sunday. And we talked about this event. You asked me to be a part of it that day, and I certainly accepted that a year in advance. Absolutely, I want to be there and be a part of it. What I didn't know is I have to speak in Richmond at 6 o'clock tonight. And so I unfortunately will have to slip out in just a moment and head to Richmond, because I'll be preaching in a church there tonight. But I did want to come here today to share with you how excited I am, how passionate I am about what Patrick Henry Homes is continuing to do for the people of the state of Virginia, for the Commonwealth of Virginia, and for our nation. We were sharing and talking on the way over here just a little while ago that well over 1,000 young people have come through this ministry over these last 50 years. And I bet if we could go back and tell the story of all 1,000 plus of those young people, we can see story after story after story of hope renewed, hope restored. We could go back and see God doing amazing things through the lives of those young people because of what God has done in this place. Just down the road, as you all know, we sit here in the shadows of the home and the resting place, the final resting place for one of our great patriots in our nation. Certainly a great Virginian, Patrick Henry. And we look back and talk about what he did when he led in those early days of our nation. One of the messages that he proclaimed over and over again was a message of hope. That at a time in our nation's history when people really didn't know what this nation was going to look like, that really didn't know whether we would be able to survive, whether we would be able to truly become all that the dreams that they had when they came to this nation and started to found this nation, whether it would ever come to fruition or not. Patrick Henry was always a man who stood up and talked about hope and talked about how we're going to get there. We're going to do it. Give me liberty, give me death, he said. And now as we look back over a couple hundred years later and we see how God has done exactly what it is that Patrick Henry said this nation would become, what he was willing to fight for, and what he was willing to die for. And I think as this home, as we celebrate 50 years of ministry here, we can see that this truly is a home of hope. Today I stand on this platform with the politician, with Robert Hurt, with Miss Virginia, with an astronaut. And when we stand here, I guess I'm the preacher. So I guess what I'll do is what I'm supposed to do. And I'm going to open up the Word of God. I'm going to share one passage of Scripture with you today. And to share with you a passage that I believe is a perfect picture of what the Patrick Henry homes, what they're all about. In this passage in Psalm chapter 3, verse 3, it says, "But you, O Lord, are a shield for me, my glory, and the one who lifts up my head. I cried to the Lord with my voice, and he heard me from his holy hill. I lay down and slept. I awoke, for the Lord sustained me. I will not be afraid of 10,000s of people who have set themselves against me all around. Verse 7 says, "Arise, O Lord, save me, O my God, for you have struck my enemies. You've broken the teeth of the ungodly. Salvation belongs to the Lord. Your blessing is upon your people." I think this passage in Psalm chapter 3 is a perfect picture of what this ministry is all about. That this ministry is all about the fact and the truth that the hope is found not in the world. It is not found in political systems. It is not found in government. That hope is found in the hands of and in the power of and in the faithfulness of Almighty God. And this home and the thousands of people that have been impacted by it through the years, we can certainly see God's hand upon it every step of the way. I know a number of people who've come through this ministry. I look back and see my dear friend Buddy Smith back here. Buddy, I don't know what year you came out of the home. What did you graduate? In 87. Graduated from the home. He's been a part of our church ever since. He sings at our celebrations. He baked a cake the size of this stage and had it out there for us to celebrate and to eat. And unfortunately, my dad was preaching before the cake was to be cut, and we were outside, and that cake began to melt. And I remember as my dad was up preaching, Buddy was down here trying to hold the cake up and put it all together. And I look back at all of the people that have come through this ministry and the ones that I've had an opportunity to be around. And I can see in their eyes, I can see in their hearts, I can see in their passion that this home has truly made a difference in their lives. And so as we stand here today at our 50th anniversary of the Patrick Henry Plantation, the Boys and Girls Homes, and as we look back on 50 years of all that God has done, let us not forget that the greatest work is yet ahead. A few years ago, in July of 2006, we celebrated at Thomas Road Baptist Church, where I'm privileged to serve as pastor, our 50th anniversary as a ministry. And I remember that my dad, as he stood there that day, he made a statement. Some of you were there that day. He made a statement. He said that he was trusting God to do more in the next 5 years than he had done in the previous 50 years. And we who were sitting there that day, we looked back at all that God had done over 50 years. We'd seen an incredible ministry that God had raised up. We'd seen a university that God had raised up out of our church that now was impacting the four corners of the globe. We had seen a church with tens of thousands of members and with missionaries all over the world, churches that we planted all over the world. And we sat back and we started asking ourselves the question, is it really possible that God can do more in the future than He has in the past? Not long after that, my dad passed away. And once again, those questions that we asked on that day, we started asking them again. With our leader gone, with our founder gone, with our pastor gone, is it really possible for God to do more in the next 5 years than He had done in the previous 50? And then, not long after that, God began to reveal something to me. Is that this ministry was never about a man. This ministry was always about His mission and His message. And Chuck Swindoll shared with me not long ago a statement. He said this, when God's man dies, God's work never does. You were sharing a few moments ago of some of the great bright spots in your history of people who were instrumental in the founding of this ministry who are no longer with us. And how that today that they look down from heaven and see what's here and they celebrate. But we know that even though those of us who look back and see people who were part of this ministry from many decades ago and that they're no longer with us, we know that while they may not be here, God is still on the throne, God's power is still available, and God still has more in store for Patrick Henry Holmes in the days to come than it ever has done in the past. And I believe that, and I'll be praying for that. And Bob, as you lead this ministry, I can tell you that there are thousands upon thousands who will be praying that each and every day that God continues to raise up this ministry to accomplish more, to do more, to reach out further, and to impact the lives of thousands and thousands and thousands of young people in the days to come. Unlike anything that we can even possibly imagine as we sit here today. Because we know that God cares about people. He cares about young people. And when we sit in a world today where hope seems to be something that is not very available, we look in the newspapers and we see on the television all the news, all of the things that are coming literally from all over the globe. And we see all of the challenges that we face as a people, the challenges that we face as a nation. Hope is something that a lot of people don't really have right now. But I want you to know that there is hope in Almighty God. And that no matter what it seems that we are facing in today's world, no matter what it seems as our young people are facing as they're growing up in today's culture, in today's world. In Psalm 91 verse 1, we celebrated and we remembered and we recalled all of the events of 9/11 just a few days ago. And we look back and are horrified by what happened 10 years ago in 2001. But on Psalm 91 verse 1, the 911 that God gave to us, He said this. He said that when we rest in the secret place of the Most High, that we will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. May it always be true that Patrick Henry is a place, that this ministry is a place where young people will be able to rest in the shadow of the Almighty, so that they can once again be reminded of the hope that God has given to them, that they can go out and they can change the world. That's what Patrick Henry Holmes is all about. That's why we continue, after 31 years, to continue to be a part of and to support and to stand with what Patrick Henry is doing. And that's why we will continue to stand with it until the day Christ returns. God bless you. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of this celebration today. And we are thrilled at what God has done. But we know that God's best is yet to come. God bless you.
A good friend of mine and a great friend of yours, Congressman Robert Hurt.
Thank you so much for that warm introduction. It is such an honor and a privilege to be able to be with you all on this occasion, and I commend Patrick Henry for all it's done over the last 50 years. What a wonderful celebration! What a wonderful, wonderful celebration! I was so pleased to see how well things look like they're going here as I drove in, and it was we had a little reception over at the administration building right when we arrived. And so Kathy, who is here, my wife Kathy, pleased to have her with us today. As we walked in the door, we saw this guy in a blue jumpsuit. And she said, is that an astronaut? So it's a great honor to be here with an astronaut in Virginia, and what a great, true honor it is to be with Jonathan Falwell. I tell you, we've got 3 boys, and listening to him tell his story made me very thankful that our oldest is only 12. We have a little ways to go before we have to deal with driving, I hope. But anyway, it's wonderful to be with you all. I just wanted to say a few words of thanks. I want to certainly thank Ms. Mormon for all of your work in putting this together and chairing this great, wonderful celebration. Robert, thank you for your leadership day in and day out. It's a great honor to be with Kathy Byron, my friend, who I served with, and Scott Garrett, who I served with in Richmond. And I can tell you, as I've told each of you individually, I miss you very much now that I'm in Washington. I miss Richmond terribly. But it's important that we're there. It's great to see Haywood Hamlet from Charlotte County. Thank you, Haywood. And of course, to always be here with the First Lady of Brooke Neal is a great honor. Phyllis, thank you. It's wonderful to see you. My thoughts about this wonderful celebration have to start with, really frankly, what Jonathan was talking about in his remarks. They start with the name. They start with the name Patrick Henry. It's a great honor for me to be able to represent the 5th District of Virginia in Washington, D.C., especially at this important time. It's an important time that harkens back to the founding of our country in many ways, because the struggles that we face in Washington require us to think back on the purpose of our founding, require us to consider what it is that we want our government to be and what it is that we don't want our government to be. What is it that we as individual Americans want us to be, and what is it that we don't want to be? Those are all fundamental questions that we are dealing with in Washington, D.C. And I can tell you, as the representative for Virginia's 5th District, it is humbling to represent the home of Thomas Jefferson, Monticello. Many of you may know that James Madison, although his home Montpelier is not actually in the 5th District, James Madison was the first congressman from the 5th District of Virginia. These are things that are very important to me. But I can tell you, as important as anything as I think about my job in the context of this great nation that we all love so much, is the fact that Patrick Henry is buried at Red Hill. He called Red Hill the garden spot of the world. That's how he referred to it. I believe that history tells us that he loved Red Hill more than any place that he'd ever lived. And for all of us who have been there and spent hours there at his gravesite and at his home, you understand why he loved it, and you understand a little bit about the man. I think it says a lot about a man who loved that place so much. I think it's interesting when you go to Mount Vernon and you see it, George Washington's home in all of its splendor, sitting there on the banks of the Potomac. You go to Monticello and see the brilliance of Thomas Jefferson. You go to Montpelier and you see the beauty of that place. The American child deserves, but maybe they didn't get the same deal that a lot of children have gotten. When you stop and think about the importance of taking care of those children, at a time when you're borrowing 40 cents on every dollar in Washington, what can we conclude? What do we as Americans and Virginians and citizens of Charlotte County, Halifax, and Campbell County, what do we conclude? The only thing that you can conclude is that the solution can't come from Washington, D.C. It can't come from the federal government. The largesse of the federal government is and always will be limited by the dollar sign. How much money can the federal government bring to the table? And that's a finite number. But what we know, and what's represented here by the people that have stood up, that have graduated from this place, what's represented here in the staff that work so hard for the young people that are here, who take care of them, who love them, all the people who support this place, whether you're on the board, whether you volunteer your time here, what people certainly far away from Washington, D.C., but down here at home, what they understand is it's not a money issue, it's a heart issue. And while the federal government and any government will always be limited by the dollars, those greenbacks, the good that we can do for our brothers and sisters all across this country is unlimited. It's absolutely unlimited. And that's a blessing. And that's something that we understand. And that's what Patrick Henry understood. He understood that the greatness of this country was not going to be built upon principalities and physical monuments. It's not going to be built on tax collectors and government programs. It's going to be built on us as individuals who believe in ourselves and understand our obligation to, as was said before, the least of these, who understand our obligation to our children and our grandchildren, and that we have that obligation that we live up to. Patrick Henry's spirit, his spirit, liberty and freedom, but it also represents the American spirit. So proud to be with you. Many congratulations, but above all, many thanks for everything that you all do. Thank you.
I have the distinct privilege today of formally recognizing the tremendous contributions of one fine gentleman to the wonderful success of Patrick Henry Boys and Girls Plantation over these past 50 years. I've developed a fondness and respect for him over the past dozen or so years during which I've served with him on the Board of Trustees. Like many of you, I admire him and enjoy his gentle presence and easy smile. In order to do justice to this occasion, I spoke with some of those closest to him, who shared with me many things, some of which I want to share with you today. Many things I never knew. It all gave me a deeper respect and admiration for him. Joining me for this presentation is Mr. Jack Henley. Most of us know him as Billy. Was elected to the Board of Trustees in 1962 and to the Executive Committee in 1971, making him the longest-serving trustee in the history of the plantation. In those early days, he provided a steady hand on the wheel and was available to Dr. McCullough as a sounding board, a local consultant, and a good friend. Dr. McCullough credits Mr. Guthrie with helping him focus on good stewardship of resources and maintaining the spiritual integrity of this ministry. The two men would often have dinner at Ernie's to brainstorm, share burdens as well as victories. When tough decisions had to be made, Mr. Guthrie provided wisdom and support. A special friendship developed that's grown stronger and stronger over time. When growth necessitated an office outside of the original home, Mr. Guthrie offered office space in the basement of Guthrie Hardware. This speaks volumes about the gentleman. Not being satisfied only with the business side of the ministry, Billy formed personal friendships with some of the residents. Some of the things he dealt with in life prepared him to better understand the difficulties faced by some of the children. Through some of life's trials, he was better prepared to help a hurting child. He knew where they walked. Mr. Guthrie has a personal motto of sorts. I feel sure that he shared this with some of these children. It is as follows. We can choose anger over understanding, bitterness over acceptance, darkness over light. The choices you make show what you are made of. In Brook Neal, Mr. Guthrie is the face of Patrick Henry Boys and Girls Plantation, and a better ambassador cannot be found. He served his church as deacon, Sunday school teacher, and in the choir. He conducted himself and his personal business in a manner that matched principles in the Bible. The Bible tells us that Jesus said he came to serve, not to be served. By telling his disciples that, he's telling us what role he has for us. We're here to serve God. It's clear to anyone who knows him, Billy Guthrie lives out that role. Mr. Guthrie loves to serve his God, and one way of doing that is by serving his fellow man. In that very same passage, Jesus also teaches us the value of humility. Mr. Guthrie exemplifies a humble spirit. This entire part of the program today has Mr. Guthrie just a little bit uncomfortable. He's squirming in his seat right now, wishing I would shut up and sit down. That arises out of that humility, thinking of others as better than himself. Mr. Guthrie's daughter, Brenda, told me that one of Billy's favorite quotes, which she repeated from memory, is from Thomas Paine, author of Common Sense. It speaks volumes about how Mr. Guthrie views the world we live in. Of hundreds of children and their families have been blessed and made better by your sacrifices. You are our friend, our mentor, and our rock. Mr. Guthrie, please stand up. I'm not even sure where you are. Jack, would you bring the portrait over to the center so we could all view it? Make Billy just a little bit more uncomfortable. He certainly resisted sitting for this portrait, I can tell you. But we think it's a fitting honor for him. Thank you.
All I can say is wow. I add my heartfelt appreciation for everything Billy Guthrie has done for Patrick Henry through all these years. I don't think most of us have any idea, even after the wonderful remarks made by David, what he's really done for Patrick Henry since 1962. Did you have any second thoughts? If you will tell me, you can stay in the room. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome a special son of Virginia in whom we can be truly proud, Mr. Leland.
Friend's house, when they heard that I acted up in school, they had a hand in my development. And then when I got home with my dad, James Melvin, right here, I got the real deal hand in my development. But those hands in my development were because they loved me. And because they wanted me to do the best that I could do with my life. And so when I think about home, I think about the house that I lived in, 4706 Hilltop Drive, which Shirley and Walter Mormon built and lived in before our family moved in. So we're all interconnected in this family in some way. And you just never know who has an impact in your life. It could be the person sitting next to you. It could be the person that cuts you off in traffic. It could be anyone that has an impact in your life. Proverbs 22:6 in the program says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. My parents raised me in that way. They had that hand in my development so I would stay on the path and stay on the right path. And when I think about trials and tribulations, I think about how did this little skinny kid from Lynchburg, Virginia get to space? I never in my wildest dreams imagined of going into outer space. But the seeds were planted very early. The seeds of character, discipline, hard work, believing in oneself. I remember when I was playing football for Heritage, playing against Westford. It was our homecoming game, and I was running down the sideline. I was a wide receiver. I was running the sideline, trying to catch this touchdown pass. The ball was thrown perfectly into the end zone,
I can read spalling on the side of the ball as it's coming into my hands. And what do you think happened? I dropped the ball in the end zone. I was going to be the worst person because this is a homecoming game. All the alumni are back, like the alumni are here, and we're losing to Rustburg. Heritage, Rustburg, it's supposed to be Rustburg. But my coach, Jimmy Green, believed in me. He grabbed me by the face mask. He didn't fling me down or anything. He pulled me close to his face and he said, "Leland, go out there and catch the ball." I said, "Coach, I just brought the touchdown pass. Do you really want me to go back out there?" He said, "Go out there and catch the ball. I believe in you." So this time, as I lined up on the side, I was praying, "Lord, please, Jesus, let me catch this ball." Running down the sideline, same pass thrown exactly the way it was before. Reading's falling this time, except this time I'm focused. I'm looking at the ball in my hands. I catch the ball, we win the game, and everyone celebrated. Well, the moral of the story is, when I didn't believe in myself, someone else did. And unbeknownst to me, in the stadium was a college recruiter from the University of Richmond who was walking out of Lynchburg Stadium after I dropped that touchdown pass. He heard the crowd screaming the second time. He looked over and saw me in the end zone doing a little dance. So he said, well, maybe if he can recover from such a horrific failure, maybe he can play for us after all. So we can all fail. Everyone in this room has failed at something. It's not that you fail. It's what you do after you fail. You pick yourself up and you keep going. And that's what we all have to do as this extended community. And by the way, the recruiter who recruited me as a receiver coach at Richmond was the head coach at Liberty University later on in his career, Morgan Howe. He was my coach. So again, these connections, these people in your lives that help you, mold you, guide you, help you stay on the right path. So now to answer your question, Mr. Hunter, I didn't forget it. How did I feel as I was strapped into the Space Shuttle Atlantis with two huge solid rocket boosters filled with fuel, an external tank filled with liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen, and this whole assembly built by the lowest bidder? How did I feel? Well, if you go back to February 1st of 2003, we had a very fateful day in our nation. We lost Space Shuttle Columbia. And a lot of you remember that day because usually if something's going to happen, it's going to happen when the rockets are lit and things are coming back. This was when we lost the vehicle coming home. It's a very, very fateful, tragic day. On that day, I was working in Washington, D.C., working in the education program. And I started driving back home, coming to see my parents in Lynchburg, and I got a phone call from my boss. I was working in this education program. I got a phone call from her saying that something is wrong. The orbiter is late. The countdown clock is now counting up. And so I knew something was really bad, so I turned around, drove back to Washington. And then as astronauts, we take care of our family, just like everyone takes care of their family. So David Brown, who was a mission specialist on the flight, his mother and father lived in Washington, Virginia, which was about 2 hours outside of D.C. I drove to their home to console them. There were satellite trucks parked on the side of the mountain. There were people trying to get the interview. I walked to the house. I went in. I hugged them. And as I was there to console them, his father said something to me that has stuck with me to this day. He said, with tears in his eyes, "Leland, my son is gone, and there is nothing you can do or say to bring him back." And I started crying. And then the words that he said next were just transformative for me. He said that the biggest tragedy would be if we don't continue to fly in space to carry on the legacy of those that have fallen. So when I strapped into that vehicle, and I was getting to 3, 2, 1, I was thinking, David, we're coming. We're going, David's in heaven, the crew's in heaven. We're coming up there to carry on the work
that you have done, to carry on the legacy of those that have fallen, those that have given their lives so that we can have the things that we have in America and in the world. So I wasn't fearful, I was prayerful, and I was thinking about everything that I had to do to ensure that we would get to space safely and return home safely so that I could honor my friends who had perished. And that was the day of our launch. Honor those that have perished. So I am very proud to be here. This is a wonderful organization. It's an organization that has inspired and motivated many kids, I think thousands since the 50s, since 1961. So many of the students in here now, when we talk about, has the same opportunity that I have. So as we celebrate 50 years of a legacy that's been spent on motivating and inspiring, I just want to say thank you, Plantation, for what you do to help change the world. Because without your dedication, without your commitment to our youth in Virginia, there'll be other people that are giving up on it. And when you drop the ball, don't forget that there's going to be another one to catch. Because we have all failed at something. And it's not that you fail, it's you pick yourself up. God bless you. Thank you very much.
Once under 18 and lived in this very place. Henry Carter, come tell us about your time here.
Hello, like Mr. Day said, my name is Henry Carter. I lived here from 1990 to 96, and now I have the privilege to work here as the alumni coordinator. And you know, one of the things that I look at, I was trying to think of what I wanted to talk about, and you know, my memories here. And one of the memories that actually stood out to me throughout the 6 years that I was here was going on many choir engagements and singing in different churches. During the service, while we were singing, during the invitation or during the
get up and he would start talking about the boys' home and the girls' home and what what we had going on. And one story that he actually taught, that he told every time that we were on our choir engagement, was a story about a young boy that was on a beach. And as he was walking on this beach, he began to notice all these starfish on the beach. And when basically when he was walking on the beach, he saw these starfish and he started to wonder, what he could do to help them out, because he saw that they were dying. So he started picking them up one by one. And as he was picking them up, he was throwing them back in the ocean and doing it as fast as he could, because if you look as he was looking across the ocean shore, there were thousands of starfish all across the shore. And so he was going as fast as he could to save as many of them as he could. Well, eventually a gentleman came up to him and said, "Son, what are you doing? What are you doing here?" And the little boy said, "Well, I'm throwing these starfish back into the ocean, to save their lives." And the gentleman actually said, "Son, what you're doing here will never make a difference. There are so many starfish here on the shore. You can never..."
And her shotgun, to Martha Stewart and her glue gun, women have continued to make their presence known. Today is no exception, and we are privileged to have just such a woman gracing our stage. After all, what would a celebration be without a beauty queen? And we have selected Virginia's best. Elizabeth Crotch had tried for the state title 4 times before this year. Her previous titles were Miss Norfolk, Miss Hampton Roads, Miss Southeastern Virginia, and Miss Portsmouth. As Miss Arlington this year, it was her 5th time and her last time, because Elizabeth Crotch is 23 years old and would have been aged out of the Miss Virginia pageant in 2011. Poor baby. year, she modeled her last evening gown, her last bathing suit, sang her last operatic solo, and answered her last on-stage question as a Miss Virginia contestant. But then, Elizabeth got a first because she won the state crown at the Roanoke Civic Center on June the 25th. Elizabeth's hometown is Chesapeake. She is a graduate of Madison University. In June of this year at this pageant, she won the Talent Scholarship of $1,000. She also won the $250 Spirit of Virginia Scholarship and the grand prize of $16,500 during the pageant finale. Elizabeth first stepped on the stage at the age of, well, I don't know what age you were, in the 7th grade. 13, okay, when she performed in front of her Presbyterian church congregation. She will represent our state of Virginia in the Miss America contest in Las Vegas on January the 14th. And we join with her in best wishes for her success. In the 58 years of the Miss Virginia pageants, Virginia has been proud of the 3 who have made the national title of Miss America. I'll let you in on a little secret. When I called the pageant headquarters this past week to finalize everything, I said to Bob Zimmerman, who is the business manager in Roanoke, and I said, Bob, you be sure that Miss Virginia wears her tiara and her sash when she comes to Brookneal. To which he quickly replied, she never leaves home with Earl. The 2 most welcome words that any speaker can utter are in conclusion. So in conclusion is with pride that I say, here she is, beauty, brains, and talent, all wrapped up in one neat package. Will you help me give a warm plantation welcome to our very own Miss Virginia, Elizabeth Parks.
Mrs. Mormon, that was a beautiful introduction. I am so honored to be here. This is my first time in Brookneal, Virginia, and I didn't get lost. And as an added bonus, I didn't know there was going to be fried chicken. So if you hear my stomach growl over the microphone, I apologize. Well, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the lessons that I've learned in my young life at 23. How wise can you be at 23? But I have learned some things. It was my 5th year when I won Miss Virginia, and I graduated from JMU in December, and I thought, what am I going to do? What is God's plan for me? Well, 6 months later, he answered, and now I'm Miss Virginia, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about perseverance, because I have a weird track record when it comes to pageants. A lot of girls get 4th runner-up, then 3rd runner-up, then 2nd runner-up, then they win. Well, my 1st year, I didn't make the top 10. My 2nd year, I got 3rd runner-up. My 3rd year, I didn't make the top 5. My 4th year, I didn't make the top 5. And then I came back and won. I could have given up any of those times. And I thought about it. I thought, why am I putting so much energy into this? And then the outcome doesn't show my hard work. Well, I did do it my one last time. And I wouldn't be standing in front of you today if I had given up. And so I want you to know that no matter what you do, there's going to be bumps along the road, and there's going to be tears, and there's going to be people that say, you know, maybe you should try something different because this isn't working out for you. But if you really want it, and it's your dream, you go for it. Because even if you don't win, you've worked hard and you've bettered yourself, and that's why I'm here today speaking to you. The second thing I want to talk to you about is not judging others and not stereotyping others. You can imagine with the crown on my head, sometimes people give me some funny looks. I actually, when I was a local title holder, I went to a restaurant and did a fundraiser. And when I walked in, I had my crown and sash on. I think I was Miss Hampton Roads at the time. And I heard one of the waitresses say, who does that girl think she is? Why does she have a crown on her head? And it bothered me because you know what? I was a waitress too. I was a waitress for 5 years in college. Yes, I did go for an extra year. And I knew exactly what she was going through. I knew exactly what she faced every time she went to work and how she had to put a smile on her face even when she had rude customers. And so that taught me not to judge others. because you never know someone's situation. They may have a crown on their head, they may have a weird hat on their head, they may have no hair at all, but you should not judge others because, and there's nothing wrong with that, my dad does it, okay? But you should never judge others because you never know what they're going through. Another thing is, you should never be too hard on yourself. Oftentimes, and I do face a lot of scrutiny as Miss Virginia, especially in the way that I look. And what I've come to realize is there's always going to be people who are prettier than me, and there's always going to be people who are smarter than me, but there will never be someone just like me. And that is true for every single person in this room. We all have different gifts and talents, and it's up to us to showcase those and not be held back by fear. So many of us, and myself included, are afraid of not succeeding in life. And it's almost like we're afraid to be great. But we just need to let ourselves shine because that's what we're here to do. That's what we're put on this earth to do. The final thing that I want to talk to you about today is the importance of giving back. When I won Miss Virginia this year, I earned enough scholarship money to pay off all of my student loans. That was such a blessing to me and my parents. But it also taught me that, you know what, I'm not just going to take this and be greedy. It's my job now to take what I've been given and give back. When I was 6 years old, my great uncle had Alzheimer's disease. He's since passed. But we went to visit him, and my mom said, Elizabeth, why don't you sing Uncle Roy's favorite song, which was Amazing Grace? And so I started singing for him in my 6-year-old voice, and by the second or third verse, I had forgotten the words. Well, he knew every word to that song, even though he had Alzheimer's and didn't know who I was. And that day, even as a young child, I learned the importance of the power of music, the power of using your voice to give back. And now I know not everybody can sing. I've heard my dad in the shower, and it's frightening. But everybody in this room has something. Whether it's an athletic gift, which I don't have, whether it's playing an instrument, whether it's just being a nice person. Sometimes I think we underestimate the power of just smiling at a stranger. You know, you never know what they've gone through that day. They may have heard some really bad news, and then you smile at them, and they have regained confidence in humanity again because you've smiled at them. So I challenge you to find what you're good at, because everybody is good at something, and use that to give back. Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change that you want to see in the world. And I think every person here knows that the world is not perfect, and it won't be perfect, but we can do our best to make it a better place, and I know that every single person in this room can do that. So thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to eating with you guys.
This time, Ms. Marisha will come and do something she's done at a number of these dedications. We've seen God Bless These Homes, and then she's going to lead us in God Bless America.
Bless these homes, oh Lord, we pray. Keep them safe by night and day. Bless the walls so firm and stout, keeping want and trouble out. Bless the roof and chimneys tall. May thy peace lie over all. Bless the doors that they may prove ever open to joy and love. Bless the windows shining bright, letting in God's heavenly light. Bless the hearth a blazing there, with smoke ascending
been challenged today on a number of times, right from the beginning with Pastor Falwell, right up to the end with Miss Virginia. Not only to be thankful for our past, but challenging us for the future and to think about the next 50 years. Could you imagine what that would be like if we took to heart the things that we heard today from these amazing folks who are sitting here with me? Is the need there? Yes. The need is there. It's all over the state. It's all over the country. You turn on the news every day. It reminds you that the need is there. And so I'm going to leave you with one challenge. If money was not an object, if money was not a concern, and you did not have to fear failure, in other words, you knew that you would succeed, what would you do? What would you do? If money was not an object and you knew that you would succeed, what would you attempt? That's what we need to attempt. That's what we need to believe for Patrick Henry Boys and Girls Homes for the next 50 years. The need is there. The cause is strong. We stand on the shoulders of tall folks who have seen all the way back in 1951, they looked forward to this day, and they built a solid foundation, a strong organization that I'm so proud to be a part of. We're not starting from weakness. We're not starting from want. We're starting from a firm foundation, and I know that can launch us in the next 50 years. Just as dreams of space motivated our nation years ago to go to space. The need is there. The passion in our donors and our trustees is there. We want to max out the mission to care for more children in more places, in more ways than we've ever done before. Could you dream that with me? Could you pray that along with me? Could you help make that happen? I believe we can do that.